Welcome to Fathers That Pray. All right, this is a brand new platform that we're just launching, and I hope that this channel will encourage you. If you are a father and you are in the process of dealing with difficulties related to parenting, whether that's that you are separated from your children for whatever reason due to divorce or some other kind of extenuating circumstance, I'm hoping that this will be an encouragement to you. I'm a father. I've dealt with a lot of difficult things, and I want this to be a safe place, a place that we can talk about some real issues that don't always get addressed. Because in the world that we live in, there is plenty of resources that are available for women, especially for single mothers who are going through difficult situations, but there's not a lot for fathers. And a lot of times when we as men address some of the challenges that we have, people downplay it, or they say, well, it must be because it's your fault. It must be because you're not doing enough. It must be because you're not godly enough, or because you're not patient enough, or whatever the thing is, right? But what I've learned from experience is that you can do all the right things. You can say all the right things. You can do all the stuff that you're supposed to do. But when it comes down to it, when you're in family court or when you're dealing with your ex, things don't always go the way that you want them to, even if you think you're doing everything right. And so I want this to be a platform where we can receive encouragement. This is not a place to be hateful or to say anything negative towards women. But the reality is some things that we do have to talk about are not the nicest, prettiest topics. These things are real. And as a man, you do deserve to have a voice. And I hope that this is something that will at least give you some encouragement as you're going through whatever you're going through. And the reason why this is called Fathers That Pray is because that's the main emphasis of this. The thing that really makes the biggest difference is prayer. And that is something that I believe God is challenging me to do more. Every time I'm upset about a particular thing that's not going right, and I'm saying, God, why is this happening? Why are you allowing this? The thing that God keeps on bringing back to my remembrance is that you can't neglect prayer, right? We want God to show up and to do certain things, but he's not going to do that when we don't pray. And so that is the main emphasis of this channel and this platform. And as men, we need to make sure that that's not the last thing that we do or just something on our bucket list that we'll get around to eventually. This needs to be the primary focus, especially when you're dealing with a contentious ex who makes it difficult for you to communicate with your children or is causing you to have unnecessary amounts of stress in your life. Nobody likes going through that. If you're going through that, I really feel for you because I understand exactly what you're going through and where you're coming from. And I just hope that we don't forget that if we really want to see a difference, right, this is the first place where we need to go. It needs to start with prayer. So every time that we come together and we discuss a topic, that is what we're going to be focusing on, is how we can let whatever it is that we're talking about guide us and lead us into how we're supposed to pray. Not just pray for ourselves, like, oh God, give me the strength to go through this or deal with this woman, right? Not just that, but also praying for that woman to say, God, I know that it is difficult what I'm going through, but whatever it is that she's going through that's difficult, I also want to pray for her, right? And it's not praying against her, like, God, I want you to do this thing to her. But no, it's not that. It is, Lord, humble me with what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. Help me to think about somebody else. Help me to pray for this person who has caused a lot of difficulty to me in my life, right? Because when we pray for other people, it softens our hearts. It keeps us from being bitter, because that's the one thing that the devil wants us to do, is to be bitter towards these women or all women in general. And not every woman is an evil or a contentious woman, right? There are good women out there. And I know that, for some of you guys, you might be thinking, well, I don't know where they're at because I've never come across one, right? And I understand that. And even for me, a lot of times it's discouraging when you think about going through really difficult relationships and you say, why is it that I keep on running to these same obstacles over and over again? But there is a reason for that. And after going through a lot of toxic relationships that were very harmful to me, after going through a lot of counseling, taking a lot of time to really analyze these situations and think about what I've gone through, I believe that God has given me some wisdom and some insight to share. And this is also for any guys who have yet to go through any of this, right? But it's to give you something, maybe something that I didn't have or some other guys didn't have before we went through some of these things, to give you some tools, to give you some things to look out for so you know how to pick a godly wife. And a godly woman is not just someone who says she loves God, which is a lesson I had to learn the hard way, right? It's so much more than that. There's so many other things that we have to look out for. But I want you to have the tools so that when you do find that woman or you're in the process of looking for that woman that you want to marry, that you'll have a successful relationship, something that doesn't have to end in divorce or through messy custody battles in family court. Nobody wants to have to go through that. Nobody thinks they're going to go through that, right? But the reality is, this is becoming more and more prevalent in the culture that we live in. And so I want this to be an encouragement to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope that you will get a lot out of the resources that we share here and just the encouragement from praying together. And so again, the purpose of this channel really is to not only give us important resources that can encourage us and help us to pray for one another, but also teach us how to pray for those women who are in our lives and to pray that God would really work in them and also that he would do good things in their lives, that he would bless them, because we don't want to pray against people. Again, we're praying for them. We're praying that God would soften their hearts, that he would open their eyes, that he would make it not just for our sake, but for their sake and for our children's sake. Right. And for some of you, this also applies to you, even if you don't have children, but you're just dealing with a woman in your life who is toxic, or a woman from your past who's toxic and has had an impact on you. This applies to you as well. Right. I want us to be able to learn how to forgive so that we can heal, whether you have to deal with that person or not. If you have unforgiveness towards them, it really holds you back in other areas of your life. So I don't want any of us to get stuck in unforgiveness or bitterness. I want us to be able to move forward, and I want us to be able to do exactly what God has called us to do, and to learn how to be strong men, the leaders who God has called us to be, in spite of any of the obstacles that we go through. So thank you again so much for watching this video. And I hope that the videos to come will be an encouragement for you.